Welcome back to Power Recapped. At the beginning of the film story, we see a girl who was doing hill jumping at a place. She was jumping off the mountain for her own pleasure. On the other hand, after coming out of the water, a sharktopus eats the girl badly. It was a creature that was like a shark from above, but from the below region, it was an octopus. After that, it comes to the water park and starts eating people, and begins to chase a boy as well. On the other hand, a girl blasts that sharktopus with the help of the computer. Now that part of the sharktopus gets separated from the body in which it had its baby. Later, we see a girl named Lorena. She was fishing on the ship with her uncle. Now his uncle gets the part of the sharktopus in which his baby was. When she opens it, a small sharktopus baby hatches from it. After that, we see a doctor who was the owner of a very big company. We learn this is the same company that has made sharktopus-like creatures. Now this company had made another creature whose name was Terracuda. It looked like an old dinosaur that also flew. The owner of the company, the doctor, tells him that I have made it for the army, so they can use it in any war. He was telling everything. His company's security chief name was Hamilton. He tells him that we have put a chip inside it so that we can control it. Terracuda flies very well in the air for the first time. All the people of the company were very happy to see that their experiment was successful, but a man sitting there was not happy with this at all. Now that man hacks all the data of this chip with his computer and transfers himself, after which he leaves. After controlling this Terracuda with his data, he launches an attack at this place, the doctor's place, where he worked, and Terracuda comes to that place and eats the doctor's worker. The doctor sends Ham and the other security guards on the plane to capture him. As they were to attack Terracuda, it attacks their plane. As a result, they fall into the water. They were quite safe after coming into the water, but he eats them there. Only Ham survives, who comes to the beach after surviving. Meanwhile, Terracuda was about to eat him. In the meantime, the man's car has an accident. His drink spills on the computer, causing the computer to be damaged. The creature doesn't attack Ham. He was the same man who runs after stealing all the data from the doctor's computer. Later, we see a water park where Lorena's uncle was telling her that I've consumed a lot of money on this sharktopus. Still, I've no gains from it. He was talking about the same sharktopus baby that Lorena found long ago. It has become a giant sharktopus. Lorena tells him that I've not trained him till now. He isn't ready to face the people completely. He can harm the people, and when she asks the sharktopus to come out, he only puts out his one tentacle. Uncle orders in a live fish so he can see him. As he throws the fish into the water, sharktopus comes out and begins to scare him loudly. Later, Uncle puts the chlorine into the water and he becomes relaxed, because sharktopus doesn't harm anyone after the chlorine. Later, Lorena goes from there. After approaching a couple, she begins to show them a dolphin show. The couple has no interest in it. They tell her that we've come to see sharktopus. Not this dolphin, we've paid extra money for this purpose. Lorena tells them that there's no sharktopus here. When Lorena was at her house, her friend comes to her. He likes her, and she shows him a video of sharktopus. On the other side, the couple came to see sharktopus, and tells Lorena's uncle that you've lied to us. There is no sharktopus here. To assure them, Lorena's uncle secretly takes them to the pool where sharktopus was. When the girl sits while hanging her legs in the pool, and uncle throws a fish into the water, sharktopus begins to eat her after taking out one of his tentacles. Later, uncle puts the chlorine into the water. The sharktopus returns into the water, but the husband of the lady tells uncle that I'll spread this news everywhere that there is a giant creature in your pool. That is dangerous for everyone. This man has spread this news everywhere. The doctor hears this news on TV. He tells his chief security, Ham, only sharktopus will save us from Terracuda. Actually, the doctor plans to fight both creatures among themselves so they'll die. Later, he goes to Lorena's uncle along with Dr. Ham and tells him that it is illegal that you've kept such a giant creature in the water park. He shows him the government's order and tells him that we've come to take him. At first, Lorena's uncle denies it, but when he lures him with money, he agrees to give the sharktopus. Later, the uncle puts a lot of chlorine into the water, and as a result, the sharktopus faints in the water. Later, Ham makes a hole in his brain to fix a chip inside his brain. Meanwhile, Lorena arrives and stops him. Later, her uncle explains to her, but she still doesn't convince. Later, Lorena's uncle locks Lorena into a room. Later, the doctor and Ham take sharktopus from there. While going, the doctor gives a huge amount of money to Lorena's uncle. Later, we see many people who've come to the sea to watch an old wrecked ship. And they were enjoying swimming in the water. Later, Terracotta arrives there and begins to kill people there. Meanwhile, Ham and the doctor leave the sharktopus in the water. Later, they fight a lot. Later, after leaving the fight, they begin to kill the people who are swimming in the water. Sharktopus takes Terracotta into the water. Terracotta somehow gets out of the water and begins to run while flying. Sharktopus captures him from one of his tentacles, but Terracotta begins to fly from there. On the other side, Lorena comes out of a room and calls her friend. Actually, her friend was a lifeguard who was at the sea beach this time. She tells him that a few people came and took sharktopus. So, you've to send the people away who are sitting near the sea. Meanwhile, a business was hit with a ball and he goes to the beach after standing there. Meanwhile, sharktopus kills him with its tentacles. Meanwhile, Lorena's friend arrives there and tells everyone to go because there's a danger here. But no one was listening to him and was having fun there. Meanwhile, Terracotta arrives there and kills everyone, and begins to eat them. Everyone gets shocked to see him. Lorena also arrives there. Chaos begins there. On the other side, the doctor learns that the Terracotta who is killing everyone. The reason for his being out of control is the man who works in his company, who has hacked all the data of their company. The doctor learns this all after watching a video. Later, the man also repairs his computer. He makes another attack on the plane from Terracotta. He makes the engine of the plane damaged. As a result, the plane falls into a jungle. All of the passengers die as a result. On the other side, Lorena's uncle was quite happy to have a lot of money in exchange of sharktopus. On the other side, a few people were enjoying in the sea. Sharktopus attacks their boat. After this, he flips over their boat and eats them after throwing them into the water. On the other side, Terracotta arrives and fights with sharktopus in the water. Later, after taking him into the air, he removes the chip that the doctor placed and goes after throwing him into the water. On the other side, the doctor and Ham are going after taking the car. They meet Lorena on the way, and after seeing her, Ham tells the doctor that she is the same girl who trained sharktopus. They capture her, and later inform her that there is another creature Terracotta, like sharktopus, that is killing people. We need your help, and later, Ham stops the car, and begins to make the tools to kill sharktopus. Lorena, while sitting in the car, sees her friend who was helping a girl. Taking advantage of the situation that there is no one in the car, she goes to meet her friend and tells him that the doctor has captured her. Her friend tells her, "I'm sure that you can save yourself. I've to help the stuck people here." After saying this, he goes to save the people. Later, the doctor arrives and takes Lorena at gunpoint. On the other side, when Lorena's friend was saving the people in the water. Meanwhile, flying Terracotta comes and eats his neck, and as a result, he dies. Later, the doctor and Ham tell Lorena that both creatures are quite dangerous. "We have to do something, otherwise, he'll kill everyone and will cause a huge destruction." Lorena tells whenever sharktopus injures, He goes to his old place, and he might be in the water park. In the water park, when Lorena's uncle was taking the money bag, meanwhile, Sharktopus arrives there and throws his money bag down. Later, he eats Lorena's uncle as well. Later, he was killing people after passing from a narrow path. Later, we see the doctor learns everything about that man, who ran after stealing the data, and he was in a hotel. Later, after making Lorena a waitress, they send her to the room. She calls Ham and the doctor in the room. The doctor checks his computer, and Ham captures him. News begins to start on the TV, and as their attention diverts, the man brings out his gun and points it at them. Later, the man runs from there after taking his computer, and they begin to chase him. After sitting at a place, the man increases Terracotta's anger from his computer. Ham fires his gun at this man. Meanwhile, Terracotta comes and takes this man with him. They take the computer of this man with them. Terracotta was still chasing them on the way. The doctor throws his computer from the car. He asks Ham and Lorena to get out of the car. He was still chasing Ham and comes in front of him. He somehow managed to save him. Later, Ham takes his computer and goes to kill Terracotta alone. Lorena also returns home. Later, we learn one more thing about the doctor. He was talking to a man. On his instruction, his company employer has stolen the data of the Terracotta. The doctor tells him that if you told me earlier, I would have made many creatures like this. Ham has also heard this, and he points his gun at him. After taking him into the sea, he asks him to sit on a boat. When his boat reaches the middle of the sea, meanwhile, Ham makes a hole in his ship with a bullet. As a result, his ship fills up with water, and meanwhile, Sharktopus and Terracotta arrive there and eat the doctor after killing him brutally. Meanwhile, Ham comes to Lorena and shows her the file of Terracotta. She tells her that his immense hunger won't let people go. Both of them make a plan to kill him. They take a shining ball with them, so they call Terracotta with its help. They throw the ball into the sea, and Terracotta comes to them. But he was quite clever and tries to flip their boat after going into the water. As a result, Lorena falls into the water, as Terracotta was about to kill Lorena in the water. On the other side, Sharktopus arrives to save her, because Lorena has trained him. Both creatures have a fight with each other. Later, Ham pulls Lorena back into the ship. Later, he attacks Terracotta with help of the weapon he made, in which he had fixed a bomb. After killing him, he drives the ship too far. Meanwhile, a huge blast explodes, in which Sharktopus and Terracotta are killed. They happily begin to move toward the beach. Meanwhile, Sharktopus holds their ship from behind. It means he is alive and will harm the people in the future. The film ends with this. Thank you for watching.